Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sudhanshu Verma from REVOLVE, and I will moderate this session. In this session, we will explore how digital technologies are applied across the agri-food industry and how we can scale and replicate them in other sectors. We'll hear from experts on reducing farmers' paperwork through data interoperability, creating value through agri-food data spaces, and accelerating the adoption of digital twin while reducing costs. As mentioned before, this is a hybrid event. So those who are joining online via Zoom, please use the Q&A box to submit your questions throughout the session. Our team will be monitoring them, and we'll address selected questions during the session. We will have 4 more pitches from different partners, addressing topics such as waste valorization, how our industry partners saw the collaboration in the project, the results of the sustainability assessment, as well as replication cases beyond this project. Our first speaker is André Ribeiro. The floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good morning to all. It's a pleasure to be here in the 4th year of the project. We are almost ending, but we faced a lot of challenges, so it's very pleasant to be here. So my name is André Ribeiro. I'm a senior researcher of CVR, Center for Waste Valorization, and this presentation will be related to the waste valorization topic of the project and try to our work to make the approach of circular economy and biorefinery. So, first of all, I would like just a brief note, what is CVR? CVR, Center for Waste Valorization, is a non-profit association that is located in Portugal. So, we were founded in 2002, and we have, right now, I think we have more than 100 associates from different sectors, across different sectors of Portugal industries. So, our goal is basically valorizing waste and try to not call it waste, but creating value and resources from that waste or that byproducts. So we are aligned with, of course, the innovation, the technology, in order to make these steps of valorization. And in my presentations, I always said that way before the circular economy approach, our definition was in place, we already make a circular economy in our project since 2002, trying to create these value chains and try to extract value from wastes. So we basically do that in the BBTWINS project. So we use the wastes that come from the 2 different use cases, the pork production and peach production, in order to create value with that kind of waste and create a value chain of valorization. So this is the objectives of what we did. So first of all, the identification, the quantification, and the chemical characterization of the wastes that come from each use case, okay? Then the combination of different technologies, innovative technologies, and more conventional technologies, of course, in order to use it in the stabilization, the conversion, and the purification of the products that we want to extract, the development of these new bio-based eco products that comes from the meat and the peach production, and of course the definition of the best bio-based operation and the definition of a new value chain, a circular value chain or a biorefinery value chain of valorization. This diagram represents a little bit what was the work performed in this case in the pork meat use case. So we, like I said, we identify the wastes that are produced in this case by Portesa, Cartesia, and Arisano. We identify that pig manure, pig bones, fats, pig hair, wastewater, and other animals of subproducts type 3 are produced in more quantities. And of course, we identify also technologies that can extract value from this waste. So anaerobic digestion, chemical extraction, hydrolysis, and hydrolysis followed also by extraction and thermochemical process like pyrolysis and calcination. The same for the peach use case. So we identify the wastes that are produced there. So we are talking about pruning waste, the fruit processing waste, and also the nectarines, and identify technologies that can extract value from this waste. So composting, combustion, and extraction in order to extract an add value compound like polyphenols. Okay. So we did a lot of experiments, of course. I will not bore you with all the results. I'll just give you, after the experiments, we did also a technical economical analysis, and the results, for instance, obtained in keratin extraction. So keratin, we use it, we extract it from pig hair, okay? And keratin can be used in several industries, cosmetic and food. And with 1 kilogram of pig hair, it was possible to extract more than 500 grams of pure keratin, which is very interesting. Also, the results in terms of economic was also very interesting, with a net present value, a very positive net present value, and a payback period of more or less 5 years to pay an industry to extract keratin, to make the keratin extraction. So, anaerobic digestion, we made like a co-digestion of several wastes that are produced in this case, and the biogas can be used for several purposes, heat or electricity by cogeneration, and we also put that model in the BBTWINS project, like Cascio explained a little bit, and we proved that there is very scenarios of profitability when we valorize this waste from anaerobic digestion. Also, another very important thing, anaerobic digestion could be the pilot to give energy to the other process. So it is very important, this technology. The other one, regarding the valorization of meat production by products, was the extraction of hydroxyapatite. Hydroxyapatite is also a high-value compound that are used in the cosmetic industry, in the oral industries, and we could extract from 1 kilogram of raw pig bones approximately 19 grams of hydroxyapatite. Seems short, but the price of this compound is very high, so we have like a payback period to pay an industry to extract that, something between 1.5 years, which is very interesting. Regarding the valorization of the peach, like I said, we use the technology to extract polyphenols. Polyphenols are also used in the food industry. It's also a compound with high value. The technical economical analysis, it was very interesting also, a payback period of more or less 5 years, which was very interesting. Then the composting, we also use the discharged fruits that are not in the quality to sell in order to make a composting process. We also mix with other wastes, local wastes, and the compost fulfills the legislation, so it can be applied again in the soils. So the composting can be applied in the soils, can grow the crops, feed the animals, and feed us. So it is a perfect example of circularity. And the last one is combustion of pruning waste. We also proved that using the pruning waste in order to produce heat can be a successful case, with payback period very interesting. Of course, it can be changed from localization, but a very interesting payback period. So with that, we create this, what we call it the BBTWINS bio-based value chain, when you can see down below anaerobic digestion, combustion, and composting being these technologies that can be used to make energy to all the process. The compost is a natural fertilizer that can be used again in the soils, like I said. So circular economy in that, and up you can see the products, keratin, hydroxyapatite, and polyphenols, they can be add-value compounds. They can be created new companies, for instance, in this new value chain that we created. So, in conclusion, was that we proved that the creation of this biorefinery needs to be addressed with several technologies. Okay, we identified that. We identified the best products that can be extracted from the waste, which is quite successfully. And yeah, these methodologies could offer very important contributions to this sustainable agri-food sector, and could be also used as a dissemination agent for another sectors, other use cases, not only pork meat or peach, but other important sectors in the agro-food. So, yeah, so thank you.
Yeah. And next is Sergio Ramos.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank all the partners in the consortium, because I think it's quite difficult to understand all of our company, because we have a lot of steps, we have a lot of business areas, so thank you very much for your efforts, okay? Okay, I'm going to show you in 2 slides which we are. We are a large company. In this specific project, we have worked in the pork value chain. Our pork value chain begins in the cereal crops. We obtain our own cereals in the province of Teruel, in Spain. With these cereals, we process in our feed mills, and then we use these cereals to feed our animals in our farrowing farms. And then these animals go to the fattening farms, and when our animals have the weight, specific weights that we need, they leave to the slaughterhouse, and we process raw meats and elaborated processed meats. And then the hams and shoulders goes to the curing facilities to develop our specific cured ham and cured shoulders, okay? And also in this integrated value chain, we use the waste and byproducts generated in all the value chain to produce fertilizers and biostimulants to applicate in our cereal crops, okay? So we have a 360 integrated process, okay? So this whole and exclusive traceability is a guarantee of safe, sustainable, and nutritional products, okay? We have territory because we are in a specific area in Spain with big landscapes, okay? We have tradition in the elaboration of meat. We have a potent and a strong investment in research and development technology, okay? And we focus on the market, in the end consumers. So this is our value chain. Pormascope, Portesa is the cereal crops and the feed mill and the livestock company. We have our brand Natural Gourmet in the slaughterhouse, and our brand in the curing facilities, that is Airesano. But we have another value chains in the company, okay? We have a winery. We have a new company called Raíz that is focusing on bio and ecological products, okay? Also, we have a lot of lines of truffle products, and we create a new company to produce fermentation food ingredients derived from not only agri-food sector, also pharma, nutri, and cosmetic, okay? So what was our role in the project? We was thinking to participate in this project to test different technologies, okay? Because we are a large company, but in the pork value chain, we are not quite digitalized until before the project, okay? So we enter in the project to test these enabled technologies, artificial intelligence, computer vision, digital twins, blockchains, and other technologies. And we would like to test different scenarios to test different technologies of our waste also. And also we would like to create a single platform to join our different databases, of traceability in just one single platform, okay, in the blockchain. So mainly we would like to organize and create internal and rapid ecosystem decisions, okay, in this company. So about digital twins. We have created two different scenarios. In one of these, we have created with the rest of the partners an operative digital twin to work daily, okay, in our company. All the companies, all of our value chain are involved in this operative digital twin, Portesa, Cartesa, and Airesano, and we capture information about real data in real time, monitorization with different sensors and different electric suppliers and something like that. And also we use our databases, historical databases, to simulate and to generate different scenarios to create information and to create how can we act in the future, okay? And also we have test and strategic digital twin. This strategic digital twin is to evaluate our position in the next years, okay, with this technology. So I would like to speak about KPIs. The rest of the panels has spoken about the technology, specific technology, but I would like to speak about different KPIs. We have structured our main KPIs in the value chain of pork, in productivity KPIs, quality KPIs, sustainability KPIs, and financial and strategic KPIs, okay? The productivity and quality KPIs are very relationship for us because we do not produce pigs, we produce quality of products, okay? So these KPIs are very, very relational. In this first KPI, we are evaluate computer vision for the capture the weight of the pig and the average daily gain of the pig during the fattening farm, okay? During the fattening. In this case, at current status, we are measuring around 15% of our animals using the bascule to weigh the animal, and with computer vision, we expected to measure around 85% of the animals. Okay, so it's a high quality step. Which we expect with this technology? We can create a relation between the pig population and the pig growing. Okay, because we can adapt which the pig are eating and which is growing. Okay, so this is a relationship that now is difficult for us because only 15% of the animals is measuring. Okay, we can compare growing curves test relationship, historical and computer vision monitorization. Okay, this is an optimization in our. This is a cost optimization and a productivity in our farm around 5–10%. Okay, more or less. And we can detect sanitary problems with the technology because if the animal is not growing properly or we detect some strange behaviors, we can detect sanitary problems. And this is important because we can act in real time, okay, detecting these problems. Also, it's important, this technology for us because we can planificate when is the optimal weight to deliver it to the slaughterhouse, okay? And this is productivity in our slaughterhouse, and this is a cost reduction. Okay, so it's a cost optimization versus productivity and quality with this technology. Other technology that we have tested is the computer vision to detect the fatback thickness in our carcass, because we are under control of our origin denomination protection, that is hand and shoulder from Teruel, and we have to establish a minimum millimeters of the fatback, okay, in our carcass. Now we are measuring around 20% of our carcass. With the technology, we expected to measure 100% of the carcasses. So we can classify by conformation with this technology. We can classify better than now, okay? Because we classify, but we classify manual with I don't know the name in English, but manual, okay? So we have generated a statistic database to predict which is the feed, which is the growing, and which is the fatback thickness with this technology, okay? We can establish relationships. Other technology that is productivity, but also is quality, is the production planner. This is the digital twin created by Soltech. In this, with this operative digital twin, we expected to guarantee the demand of our customers, planning our availability of stock. Okay, we expect it to measure to increase 20% of this guarantee for our customers. Also, we can forecast accuracy up to 90%. Because we can optimal planning and we have take decision in real time, so we can increase 90% this accuracy. Okay, we can. This is important for us because we can minimize the loss of opportunities and claims of our customer if we can reduce 90% of our stock outs. Okay. Also, we have dedicated a lot of time to planning our production, daily production or weekly production. We expect with this technology to reduce 75% the time dedicated to planning, okay, the production. And also it's important for us the overall equipment effectiveness, okay. With this technology, we can optimize and we can improve our OEE 30%, okay, in our systems, human resource, planning, a lot of inputs that we can generate with this digital twin. In terms of sustainability, BTT has explained properly the logistic model that they have developed. In this logistic model, we have seen that our current feed distribution is quite already optimized, okay? But the model has detected that we can optimize 2% shorter routes, 2% in flexible orders, because now we can predict our orders is in the same day. But if we can act with flexible orders, we can shorter routes, and also we can reduce 10 tons of CO2. Okay, with this logistics model. But this is important because the logistics model allows us to predict the impact of the logistic in the greenhouse gases and in the times and the cost and some inputs. When we expand in our production in current farms, when we generate new suckling pig farms, actually we are creating 2 new suckling pig farms, and when we expand and when we create new fattening farms, okay? We are going to create the next year 4 new fattening farms, okay? So it's a good model to establish different scenarios to predict how is the cost of this, okay? Another important aspect in our company, and we are evaluated during the project, is the energetic cost. Before the project, our company, we have also a control of our energetic costs, but we have monitorized the 90% of our electric consume, okay, with different systems. With this monitorization, we are going to be more energetic, more efficient in our energetic consume. We are going to predict shutdowns of our equipment, okay, and we are going to predict a proactive maintaining of this system. So this is a reduction of our cost of operation. We estimate around 10–15% of cost reduction in our slaughterhouse. This is from the slaughterhouse. And also, because we expect it to be more higher in energetic efficiency, we expect it to reduce our greenhouse gases around 10%, okay, in the company. Okay. So, André has telling you also the technologies used to convert our bioproducts and our waste during the value chain. In the current status, we are using different technologies to valorisate 75% of our byproducts. Okay, in this 75%, 45% is used. The manure mainly is used as a fertilizer that we use in the crop fields, and the other is used like a biostimulants. For example, we use the blood to produce amino acids. We use the hair, the bones, and the rest of the products to use fertilizer and biostimulants. Okay, for the fields. But in this project, we have evaluated these high added value ingredients, okay, that is good for us because we can also create a new business area, okay? For example, we can explore keratin with 94% purity, collagen with this 96% purity, hydroxyapatite that is a mineral that we can use, for example, in dental surgery that is very, very expensive. And also, we have studied a biogas plant with an investment return in 3 years, 4 years, okay? So this is a new scenario open to us that is a really, really nice perspective for the future, okay, for us. In terms of strategic and financial KPIs, in our whole value chain, we are very optimistic with this data, but we expected to obtain a 15% reduction in energetic cost, 20% reduction in operative costs, okay, planning daily and weekly. We expected to process this 25% biomass that now we don't know process actually in the company, and we would like to reduce around 28–30% our environmental footprint reduction, okay? So this is repercuting in our financial margin around 3–5% in the next 5 years, okay? So when we're current, we are working what happened and why. But in the future, we would like to analyze real-time data to predict what will happen in our company, okay? This is the change during the project, okay? This is the focus now for us, okay, in the future. So the other technology that we have tested during the project is the blockchain. Blockchain for us is food safety, is traceability, and is marketing and sales, okay? In the case of traceability, before the project, as I told you, we have different databases. We have one database in Portesa, one database in the slaughterhouse, and one database in the curing facilities. Now we have a single platform that join all the value chain in this platform, in the blockchain platform. This allows us to offer to our customers traceability, transparency, trust, okay? So it's very good for us because also different markets are asking us for this platform, okay? So this is very, very important for us. You can see the track of our product, you can see different information of the product, the number of batch, the steps, something like that, okay? This is very, very interesting. Also, it's a strong marketing platform because we can offer to the end consumer, okay, in the supermarkets or different places to buy our products. You can offer this QR, you can scan with your mobile, and you have all the information of our company, okay, from the cereal crops to the final products, okay, the track, the number of batch, characteristics of our products. When do you can buy, for example, in e-commerce, something like that, okay? This platform for us is very potent also for the sales because you can also visit our company web, subscribe to our newsletter, you can obtain rewards, you can view different reviews of our products, you can get into directly to our social networks, you can obtain recipes of our products, so it's very, very strong tool for the end consumer, okay? And finally, we expected to obtain with this plan for an impact in our sales area, okay? We expected to grow 10% in sales in the next 5 years with this platform. We expected also increment our exportation in 15%, okay, of our products because we export to all the world, okay? And it's important for us also the impact in the brand. Okay, we expected to improve our brand 20% in the perception to the consumer. Okay, this is very, very important for us because, as I told you, we don't know produce pigs, we produce quality. Okay, this is very, very important for us. So that's all for my side. Thank you very much to everybody.
The next presentation is from Magdalena.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Magdalena Jaskiewicz. I represent ANGAZ. We are a SME located in the center of Poland. Our main specializes in sustainability engineering solution and consultancy services, which includes comprehensive sustainability assessment. Our services, we provide services like life cycle assessment and management in three aspects: environmental, economic, and social. Material and waste flow analysis, and business models and exploitation. In BBTWINS projects, we were responsible for sustainability assessment of the solution. So it was life cycle assessment for environmental one to measure the footprint before and after implementation of BBTWINS technologies, and life cycle cost assessment to evaluate financial feasibility of digital twin solutions. This was possible only with close cooperation with fruit and meat value chains, with Dimitra and Portesa, and also with Soltex with Portesa and Dimitra, it was to validate real-world sustainability improvement, and with Soltec, we could get the data from the modeling of the digital twin solution implementation. The LCA and LCA was conducted to quantify the environmental footprint and economic feasibility of digital twin solution. We ensure data-driven decision-making for sustainability and cost effectiveness. The process consists of 4 stages. The first one was data collection, where we obtain real-world data from both value chains. And then we modeled different scenarios that were created in digital twin-based solution. And we compared this data, traditional one, to optimize operations. The next stage was the impact measurements, where we assessed, analyzed the energy, water, waste, emission, and cost savings. And the last stage was validation and reporting for large-scale implementation. For all these processes follow the ISO standards, 14,040 for life cycle assessment and 15,686 for economic analysis. The environmental outcomes for fruit value chain were quite impressive. We achieved 54% reduction in environmental footprint. It was especially in several in climate change category, where the CO2 were reduced, and terrestrial acidification, where the biggest improvements were achieved thanks to the renewable energy integration and optimized fertilization. Regarding these achievements were done through especially digital twin integration, where we could assess the real-time monitoring and predictive modeling for resource efficiency, optimize agriculture, the precision in use of fertilizer and pesticides and water, renewable energy adaptation, it was like PV panel installation, and circular economy, valorization of the waste valorization. Regarding the LCA economic outcomes, in realistic scenario, which considered balanced economic conditions with stable market demand and moderate inflation pressure, it was achieved the net product value almost 6 millions, with almost 9% internal rate of return and 5 years payback period. The main revenue streams were pitch sales, waste valorization, and government subsidies. It showed also operational stability through installation of the usage of the renewable energy, logistic optimization, and circular economy. The outcomes of Portesa, they were also quite good. It was achieved 28% of environmental footprint reduction. The largest reduction came from climate change, freshwater eutrophication, and land occupation. It was thanks to the feed production efficiency, optimized animal rearing, and energy efficient processing. Also, big impact was in the waste, was of the waste valorization, as it reduced emissions from waste disposal. All these reductions were achieved also through, of course, through the digital twin integration, feed production efficiency, sustainable rearing, energy efficient processing, optimized logistic, and circular economy practices. Regarding the economic outcomes, in realistic scenario, it was achieved almost 17 million net product value with 14% internal rate of return and 6 years payback period. The main revenue drivers were pork sales, waste valorization, and government subsidies. Then the cost distribution, the most important was the feed and input. Feed that inputs 85% of total cost. Also, it showed the sustainable growth, as cash flows rise steadily, reaching up to 61 million by year 10. The conclusions, it shows that BBTWINS can revolutionize agri-food production, as BBTWINS demonstrated that the digital twin technology can be a game changer for sustainability and efficiency. It shows that optimized processes lead to lower costs, higher productivity, and rich environmental impact. The project also shows scalability and market readiness, as the success of Dimitra and Portesa proves of the feasibility of scaling innovation across the agri-food sector. It has potential to expanding application for logistic, waste management, and predictive farming. The future prospects of the project can be achieved through artificial intelligence and blockchain for further integration to enhance traceability and decision making. It shows sustainable growth that can expand into the new markets, focusing on sustainable agriculture, and it aligns with the policy because it supports European Green Deal objectives and global sustainable goals. Thank you.
The next presentation is from Athanasios.
Thank you so much. Hi, good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to say that I'm very happy, proud to be part of this consortium. It was an amazing experience. My first project in, let's say, such type of digital solution, agri-food value chains, and so on, and especially for acting as a connecting point between our technical expert and the real industries, the companies, and especially the Dimitra cooperative, as we were a regional-based cluster and we were in the same region. So, a short introduction about myself and our organization. I'm Athanasios Lampropoulos, a mechanical engineer, European R&D project manager, and I represent cluster of Bioeconomy and Environment of Western Macedonia. A few words about our organization. We are a regionally based cluster in the region of Western Macedonia, and our main goal is simple but very difficult. Let's say to act as a bridge, as the connecting point between innovation, technology, and real life. Industries, companies, which are our members, so we try to do this through the European projects. Implement European project, involve our members in the European project, and try to gain knowledge, let's say, new added value regarding their operation and the way they, let's say, use their resources with a traditional way and so on. So BBTWINS started as an Horizon project using artificial intelligence, blockchain, let's say mathematical modeling, simulation, and so on. But I think we can go further from this because, let's say, industry or company challenges are universal. Most of the companies faces the same challenges, the same, let's say, process inefficiencies. So the digital solution should be universal, should be, let's say, modular and scalable. Let's say the first and most important is the process inefficiencies. Especially traditional companies, like most of the companies and industries that are in our area, face, let's say, process inefficiency, meaning high costs, more waste, quality issues, and this is mainly attributed to their poor, let's say, optimization. And for sure, this, let's say, can cause industries to lose money and resources. So BBTWINS comes to solve this problem through its digital twin. Just imagine of a real-time, let's say, platform using real-time data, a virtual model that can simulate, optimize the process, using real-time data that, let's say, can track the process and as the ultimate goal to optimize the whole value chain from the very end to the very beginning, meaning the final customer. So another big issue that ISRA was very, let's say, analytic is the traceability problem. The customer nowadays want to know where their food come from. Regulatory bodies and authorities are very strict. They need proof of sustainability. So many companies, let's say, lack this clear supply chain visibility. So BBTWINS uses blockchain traceability, using secure, transparent, and tamper-proof data in order to provide, let's say, a clear supply chain from the crop to the final customer. And a very good example that can be this, let's say, technology or this specific platform replicated is, for example, the olive oil industry, when with a QR code we can scan it and track and see if this is a high-quality olive oil or, let's say, it's something else, another product or something like that. It can prove sustainability in the fishery industry. Let's say you can also track where the fish come from, how does it was fed, and so on. Another important issue is the logistic challenges. Logistic cause inefficiency, cost-related, the increased environmental impact, CO2 emissions, and so on. So can cause also, can affect product quality. So our experts from Vito and VTT explained very well what they can do, how they can simulate, let's say, real-time tracking of the whole logistic value chain. And this can be modular, scalable, and applied to other value chains like olive oil industry or fishery, or even to bio-based industries like the biogas production, because you need feedstock for biogas. To get this feedstock, you need a very clear, you need a very optimized supply chain. And last but not least is the waste management. Here is, let's say, an example of olive pomace, let's say the biggest byproduct from olive oil industry. Nowadays, most of the companies valorize their byproducts. Some of them, let's say more traditional companies, do not valorize it at all. But I think the solution that arises from BBTWINS is not only to valorize the product, but to see the best valorization pathway. Meaning both in technical and environmental aspect, because for instance, olive pomace can be utilized for energy production, can be utilized as a fertilizer, as a building stock for other materials like bricks. So through this process, first of all, you have to see which is the best valorization pathway, taking into consideration aspects like the market of your region, or let's say the status of other companies, how they valorize their product, and so go through this situation. If you want to go to more details regarding our replication plan, we have our deliverable. It's a public one. It's the replication of BBTWIN technologies, where we also implemented another type of methodologies like a SWOT analysis, stakeholder analysis, in order to track each step that a company or an industry need to, let's say, adapt and use the different functionalities, and then combine them all in one, let's say, powerful digital platform. I think that closing this presentation, I want, as the other expert mentioned, that starting BBTWINS some years before, we thought, let's say, of using two different types of industries, of companies. Portesa Cartesa, a company that seemed to be a more, let's say, digital-ready company in order to adapt this technology, and Dimitra Cooperative, our, let's say, pitch cooperative that was working in a really traditional and inefficient way. So we tried to track the different steps of the value chain, meaning logistics, meaning the process itself, meaning the waste valorization, meaning the traceability of the product, find ways to simulate, to optimize the process, and then our friends from Soltec to use all these simulation tools, all these functionalities in a unique platform. So the three key words that I conclude reaching the end of the project is the first, standardization of the processes, even if it's a traditional company, a traditional industry, or a more digitalized one. The second one is the training and the support of the personnel, of the staff of the companies. And the last one, and the most important, given our experience through the interaction with the guys, for the people from Dimitra Cooperative, is trustworthiness with these people. Because at the end, companies' industries are their people, not the machines. Thank you so much.
Big thank you to all the speakers for the insight. Now we have an open floor for questions. I will first see if there is any question in person in the audience, but we also have some questions ready from our online audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stuart Ragaluth. I'm the founder of REVOLVE. We're a partner in BBTWINS, as everyone knows. I'd like to congratulate the partners for the completion of a great project. Well done to Daniel de la Puente for his leadership, and well done to everybody for making it through the 3 or 4 years that you've been putting this together. There are clear results. This is really nice to see. Very clear results in the in this industry. And so my question is the big question, big elephant in the room, scalability. We're looking at the peach and pork sectors of the agri-food. How scalable or how replicable is this in the other sectors of this industry? And at a broader level, how scalable is it in other industries as well? I mean, Thanos, you already answered a little bit with the fisheries, but you could expand, and Magda, you talked about LCA, that's also applicable to others. How realistic is the scalability? And Cacho, if you want to jump in as well in answering, that's great.
In my point of view, in order to, let's say, to prove the scalability or the replication of our functionalities and the digital platform, let's say, has two different pillars. The first one is the technical aspect. How scalable are the functionalities themselves? I mean, the code behind the simulation process, the mathematical modeling. Is it modular? Is it scalable? Can be, let's say, can use input from another type of industry or a sector, if it's agri-food or if it's bio-based industry or whatever. And the other one is the scalability regarding how, let's say, the companies and the industries themselves react to that digital innovation. I mean, this interaction with the Dimitra cooperative, because we had the opportunity to have this interaction in person with Dimitra, because Portesa was based in Spain, so we can only interact through online meetings or through emails or whatever. I think the most important thing is to pursue them that, look guys, you don't work in the most efficient way you can. So I think prior to proving scalability of a process, we need, let's say, to focus on two different aspects. The one is the technical. I'm not the expertise to answer to that, how modular is that type, let's say, of digital functionalities. And the other is how the personnel, how the industries themselves reacted to that digital innovation. And I think you can find some clear results in our replication plan, because we mentioned this with a stakeholder analysis, which describe how each stakeholder can contribute to this scalability and replication process. I don't know if someone else, Magda, yes, for sure.
Yeah, as you could see, the results, especially environmental one, but also economic one, showed quite good results. Even though it was modeled for large-scale applications. But we have to, for large application, we have to consider several limitations that has to be assessed, like level of details in logistics, which you have to consider diverse transport distances, also location of the application. The other aspect, you have to consider the data updating, which for large-scale application would need to be like Internet of Things or a digital twin solution where the data has to be modeled. And also it depends, for example, in waste valorization, you have to consider the market conditions and how this application can be solved. Yeah. Also, it's very important for LCA assessment. It's important the location market where you have to location of the implementation where you have to consider special local conditions. Thank you.
From my side, I would like to tell you that 5 years ago, our company, this part of the company, of the port value chain, we don't have our R&D department, okay? In 5 years, we transfer the innovation to the scalability to real industrial, okay? Because we are not farmers, we are industrials, okay? We try to scale all the process that we research or that we innovate, okay, in the company. So for us, it was a great project because we have investigating some technologies that 5 years ago we don't have information. For example, digital twins. The first time I heard digital twins, it was a conversation with Daniel. What do you think about a project with digital twins? Which is digital twin? Okay, explain me. So this is important for us, but I suppose that not all the companies has the potential to scale all the process and all the products and all the projects or something like that. But in our company, we have the potential to do that. And if the tools are working properly, we can scale, okay? Also in the waste valorization, we can scale because we have the potential, we have the R&D department, we have the equipment, something like that, okay? So for us, it's not so difficult, but we have to collaborate with these partners to transfer this innovation to the scale, okay? To the industrial scale, because we are industrials, okay? This is important for us.
I could add some words about the waste management. In fact, the other sectors, other agri-food sectors, has of course, could have the other problems that Portesa has. But for instance, Thanos explained a little bit about olive. Olive has the exhaustive olive pomace. The olive pomace can be applied in composting. The exhausted can be used as a fuel, as a solid fuel, for instance. So the background and the information that we identify in this project could be super relevant for other sectors. And for instance, in the biogas, we not only made scenarios for Portesa, we also identify other raw materials that can be used. Actually, we identify more than 200 different types of substrates that can be used as a raw material for biogas. And I think the most important thing is the connection between the digital and this physical, regarding the waste management and waste valorization, is the most difficult and most challenging part of waste management is to identify, is to have a clear idea what are the wastes, what are the productions, the ratios of production. It's the most challenging part. The technical part, the experiments, we do easily. But the identification is very hard. So with this application of digital tools in order to assess and to have a clear idea what are the wastes that are produced, it's very important, and it could be used not only in the pork or in the peach, but in the fish, in the olive, in the other sectors of agri-food industries.
As you sent me the question, Stuart, from the technological point of view, everything is ready to scale because everything is in the cloud. So companies, they don't need large computers or very intensive capabilities in programming or so on. Our concept is easy to use, everything in the cloud, so you just need a connection to internet. And even Sergio is testing the digital twin with a regular laptop. So you don't need a large computer or many, it's a laptop that you use for office purposes, so it's very easy, yeah.
What I would like to add to your messages is don't forget the leadership role, because the most important thing is that the leaders have always in mind there is potential in the people, and if they can motivate them, because they knows exactly the details and they knows exactly where is something where they can every day be a little bit better every day. And also the leadership role is to train them, spend money for that, yeah? Tell them the communication, what is the potential, and also what they can get, what is the benefit for them. My experience is really, wherever you are, in which countries, it doesn't matter. It's a leadership issue to train the people, to lead the people, and make them successful. This is the job of the leaders. All the things what you said and what is to install to help them, it's anyway, this has to be done. But the leadership role is motivate the people, give them the benefit of the engagement, and you will see how this is working. It's amazing what potential is sleeping in the teams. This is my experience.
We are short of time, so I'm just going to take one more question from the audience.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sergio.
No, just a final comment, because I would like to, I agree with you, Herman, because for us, it was very, very important to change the culture of the company, okay? To motivate the teams, to motivate the workers, because they have to see that the technology is facilitating their lives, okay? This is the most important, because if the technology is going to complicate the daily or weekly, this technology no works, okay, in the company. So it's very, very important to motivate the teams, to transfer to the teams that the technology is going to help the working day of these teams, So this is very important for us because we have working very in a wide range with the partners, especially Soltec, Stelvio, and the rest of the partners, trying to explain these technologies to the team. Okay, and sometimes it was very difficult, but now it's a realistic way. So that is important. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. There's just one question for André online from Samantha Kiket. What size of investment would you estimate to build a plant to valorize waste upscale, the production of recovered material identified in the case of Naturuel?
It depends, of course. We create different scenarios, varying. Of course, the quantity is not the issue. Is what is. It is what it is. But we identify different scenarios with different quantities, ranging from 1 ton to 10 tons. So it depends, of course. I think the results that show it's 10 tons, but it will depend. It will depend of the quantity.
Okay.
But we assess all that results. The better ones, of course, are the ones that uses large scale. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, all the speakers. We will. Yeah. Thank you. And now it's time to move beyond the project and look into some industry application. While the development presented previously have been focused on the 2 case studies and have been help solving the individual challenges, extrapolating BBTWINS to other businesses or application would be the next step forward. Joining us today are industry leaders and experts who will discuss the opportunities and challenges for scaling digital solutions across various sectors. Let's begin with Kieran Sullivan. He's joining online, who will present methods on how to reduce farmers' paperwork through data interoperability. Kieran is a research engineer at Walton Institute with over 15 years of experience working on EU-funded research projects. His experience spans online security, 5G networks, and smart agriculture. A former journalist and a qualified technical writer, Kieran brings a unique perspective to his work, one that's grounded not only on the technology, but also on hands-on experience as a farmer. Kieran, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can I just start by saying I think everything what I've heard so far is built on data, and there are no digital twins without data. So 2 quick things on that before we get into this presentation or the story I'm about to tell you. One is that collecting that data and formatting that data, structuring that data takes a huge effort, and we shouldn't take that for granted. We don't take that for granted. But secondly, and this is what I'm going to get into here now in my story, is that there's a lot more potential use of that data, but only if we start to share it a little bit more, which also means structuring it in a particular way. We'll get into that in this story now. So the title of my presentation is how are we going to reduce farmers' paperwork through data interoperability. Now, this story has 2 main characters. One is Kieran, the IT researcher, as has been highlighted there. I'm embarrassed. I must have written that bio myself. It sounds like a different person, but I'm sure it's me. So I'm interested in data analytics and ideas, opportunities, the art of the possible. So this is one character. The second character then is Kieran, the part-time farmer. So I operate a dairy and a beef farm, and my needs are more immediate. And I don't really have an awful lot of time for the art of the possible. So the story here, this is a Hollywood type story. So every film, every movie you ever see, there's a character who has a mission. And say the farmer or the processor, the agri-food supply chain here is the main character, and they need to provide traceability to consumers. So when people pick up food in the supermarket, they're sure of where it came from, they're sure of the quality, all that stuff that reassures them. The obstacle, however, is the paperwork, unfortunately. Now, we've seen some of that earlier and how we can circumvent that. but it's a real issue. And as I said, the data collection, we cannot take that for granted. Administration and paperwork costs time and money. The requirements change over time. So what we reported on last year may be different from what we report on this year. So we've got a different form to fill out. And then different organizations want similar information from farmers. Maybe a government ministry, there's accreditation bodies, there's the processors that the farmer deals with as well in whatever sector they're in. So we've got a character, we've got their mission, and we've seen their obstacle. And just as an example of part of that obstacle, I'll give you a second to guess how many pages of terms and conditions are in the current government schemes for Irish farmers. It's 752 at a last count. You don't have to read them all, but if you did, I think you might read War and Peace maybe a little bit quicker than all of those pages and fill out all of those forms. So the path that I'm suggesting for our character to achieve their mission here and overcome the obstacle is data interoperability. We've seen some of this already. It was great to see in the earlier presentations. But it has to be at a business or an operational level and at a technical level. What we're asking, I guess, is different organizations, different government bodies, private sector companies, not to be the same. And a bit like the picture here where everybody is different, but everybody is dancing in coordination and they're working together and they're interoperable. If we can achieve that, then I think we can certainly reduce the paperwork and the admin burden, not just for farmers, but for others in the supply chain as well. So what I'm going to present in the next 5 minutes is something called AGNAV as something of a case study in reducing the admin, the paperwork burden for farmers using data that's interoperable and data that's already been collected. And also data, I guess, that can be used to build a digital twin. In some ways, AGNAV is a digital twin of farms. So if anybody wants, this is a live system, you can go and check it out now on agnav.ie. What it is a platform that's supposed to help Irish farmers reduce emissions from their farm overall. Now, it does more than that, but for our purposes today, as an example of what's happening in industry and the industry need, this is about reducing the carbon footprint on farms. There's 3 separate government bodies involved, and then selected farmers engage with official advisors to work through different scenarios for their farm. And we'll get on to a few examples of what if I did this in a minute. So that's what it's about. Farmers are already providing their data in various formats, in Ireland in particular anyway, to several organizations. So there is Teagasc, you may or may not heard of them. They're a state body for research and they give advice to farmers too. The Irish Cattle Breeders Federation, the ICBF, another government body which looks after data and software, mostly in the dairy and the beef sector. And then we have something called Board BIA, which is the Irish for the food on your table, which is an accreditation body. They would be responsible for marketing Irish food exports abroad at various conferences. So they collect a lot of data as well. Now, with the farmers' permission, they send the data that they collect to AGNAV, and a baseline is created then or modeled on the emissions from that farm based on the various information. So almost like a digital twin is created of the emissions and the various activities on that farm. So let's quickly look at some of the sample changes on the farm and the potential impact that will have on the carbon emissions. So stocking rate is one. If you go from, say, 100 cows to 90 cows, what impact does that have? Now, we know production will drop, what you produce will drop, but what impact will it have in terms of the gases and the emissions that are released, and maybe the workload as well? Fertilizer type, again, rather than the farmer creating the experiment themselves over a year and seeing the impact, this type of platform helps them to compare one type of fertilizer to the other. So if they use something like CAN, which is one type, versus protected urea, what impact does that have? This then is the type of result the farmer gets. So they get an estimate of the total emissions, the emissions per hectare, and then a footprint, say, of beef in this example, for the emissions per kilogram of live weight. And as well as that, bearing in mind that this needs to be user-friendly. Instead of filling out another form or even entering in numbers, there's there various sliders and easy interactive little systems like this on AgNav as well. So you can change not just from one type of fertilizer to the other, but you can go halfway. So if you change half the fertilizer you spread, but keep the original half, what impact does that have? Again, just to spend a second on the governance side of things here. Everything is transparent, or as transparent as possible, on AgNav as well. So you get a list, the farmers, when they log in, they get a list to see who can see my data. So you have the three government bodies here, the addresses, the how to contact them, and you can take it from there if you have an issue. And then there's also what data is available. So it goes from everything from personal data, your name, your address, your herd identification number, up to information about your animals and everything else around AgNav, the carbon footprint as well. And it's there for the farmers to check and to opt out of if they want as well. So that's the path. Now, what's the end result? Are we going to get the mission that we're looking for here? Well, in the first instance, farmers get an estimate of their carbon footprint without having to fill out more forms or provide more data or do anything like that outside of what they've already provided. I think a big part of this is around public relations too, because I'm not sure how it is across Europe, but certainly in Ireland, there can be some negative commentary in the media that everything is the farmer's fault. And that's obviously not the reality. But this type of platform shows people that farmers are playing their part in the big change to support the Green Deal and drive down emissions across the board as well. And this data then can also be added to the footprint estimates of other processes, from the dairy, the fruit, the grain processors as well, in the supply chain, for an overall life cycle assessment of the food products. Next steps. As I said at the start, I'm a researcher. There are always next steps. So the economic impact of the various what-if scenarios are being integrated into AgNav at the moment. So that's on the business side of things. And then the standards and templates are being developed as well. And they take a little while for data collection. That's on the technical side of things. The one thing I would say, my takeaway message from here to this conference today, is that the agri-food supply chain is diverse. Again, we've kind of touched on that in the earlier presentations too. That's just another way of saying that people are diverse, cultures are diverse, food production is diverse, the climate is different in the north of Europe to the south of Europe. So again, it's a different conversation, but I think, just to go back for a split second to the previous session or the previous question there, I think this is why we've got to be careful when we talk about replicability and scalability, because agri-food nature is so diverse up and down East and West in Europe. But what will help is the interoperability between people. The technical thing, and again, this was alluded to earlier, technical is relatively straightforward. The business and the operational side of it is not so much. But as long as people keep talking, then the data becomes interoperable almost automatically. The trust is built. That's, I think, what we just need to bear in mind as we're talking about the various technical aspects. So that's my key message. Now, the two characters you met at the start, and this is my little pitch. I work for the Water Institute. We're with a university in the southeast of Ireland. If anybody wants to work on EU proposals or paper collaborations, give me a shout. The Walton Institute is the research group I'm working with. We've been coordinating FP6, FP5, FP7, Horizon Europe, Horizon 2020 proposals for years. We're always open to collaboration. And Kieran the farmer, then, if you want to keep track of him or see what he's doing, I have a YouTube channel, so you can get a sense of the farm work that's going on around here. I've done a lot of building, converted to dairy farming in the last 12 months, so there's some videos on there as well. And if anybody has any questions about any aspect of that, now is the time to call them out. Thank you very much. And hopefully that wasn't too long.
Thank you, Kieran. No extra form to complete. It sounds good to me. Next, I would like to ask Jürgen Vangeyte to give his presentation. Jürgen is the scientific director at the Research Institute for Agriculture, Fisheries, and Food. He leads a multidisciplinary, innovative, and independent research focused on sustainable agriculture and fisheries, following a farm-to-fork approach. As the head of Agri-Food Technology Department, Jürgen oversees a team of more than 25 researchers and technical staff with a PhD in bioscience engineering from Catholic University of Leuven. His expertise includes precision agriculture and technology development. Jürgen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Okay, it will not be easy after Kieran to come with an exciting presentation. But on the other hand, I'm so happy because there were two things before me that I will bring the solution for. First of all, somebody asked about scaling. What do you need to scale digital twin? That's the agricultural data space, except the funding, of course, also to scale, but data that is available everywhere and anywhere, but still under control of the data owner. And what just Kieran presented is exactly a comparable application or platform as what we are scaling in the agricultural data space. And actually today is a nice day because we start the project officially after some hiccups with a coordinator that had some issues, but my institute will be leading the agricultural data space, and I have some slides to challenge you to join us at the end. But I'm very happy with the presentation of Kieran because I will bring you something that looks very much alike and wants to take it to the next level. And I think Kieran knows very well that his platform could be perfectly part of the agricultural data space because Chegas is a partner of it. But oh, I can do it again, the same presentation. That's not an issue. I can find some Belgian rules from our department that are more than 725 papers.
I can believe that.
We have them in Flemish and French, so we double everything. Yeah? Okay. Oh, and we did test it, but it's still not. Okay, so that's the nice thing with digital technology. You test it, you test it, you test it, and when you need it, it's not perfect.
This works, yeah.
So it's still a little bit too high, no? Okay, anyway. So it should say the agricultural data space as an accelerated for digital twins in agri-food. And I want to save some times, but so I will go very quickly. There was an official biography, but what I actually am is I was born as an agricultural engineer, fascinating by machinery and by animals in farming, as you can see from the fact that I'm still collecting and renovating old tractors, and that I'm already very early at agricultural fairs. I'm learning very young farmers how you can make a red tractor talk to a green tractor, and I've been doing this for many years, and still I have the impression that those tractors can still not fully interoperable talk to each other. That is why we are still talking about interoperability, data spaces, standards. But what I'm trying to say is that I started as an engineer and turned over more or less to the dark side of business development and management, and I'm leading as a director the digital department from ILVO, around 100 people, with indeed 20, 30 researchers, but also a lot of more commercial-oriented people in trying to put our applications into the market. That is what we do. I think I'm here with the public that can easily convince that there is an unlimited potential for data in Agri-Food, and that this potential is the perfect base to build these digital twins. But what is very nice about Agri-Food is that every actor in the chain has data and has its responsibility and would become better from using these data. So we could easily bring them together because, for instance, in Flanders, we already have, through data sharing and through the existing platforms, the possibility that the farmer, by one push on the button, when he buys a farm management information system, all information flows into it, but also governmental data, historical data from his census, it can flow automatically because we convinced our government to share this data. And if a farmer buys a farm management information system from the company that is connected to our data sharing system, it takes him 5 minutes to put in all his parcels. If he buys from another brand, it will take him half a day because he has to color and indicate on all his parcels. And they change every year, these parcels, or the ownership, so that's not automatically updated. Just to say one benefit. Our data sharing systems and the data that we have available make sure that the spraying machine knows automatically which nozzle it has to use when you put a certain product in it, and even more, it knows automatically how far it needs to stay from the water, because in Belgium, just like in Ireland, you need a PhD to know all the environmental rules. So a farmer, it's very easy if it has a smart machinery that automatically can read this data and stay away and comply with the environmental rules. I also had here the example of the digital twin in pigs, but that was already stolen by another presenter, so I don't need to say that. Processing industry. We have data sharing from agricultural machinery, and Belgium has some big sellers of agricultural potato harvesting machinery. The data flows automatically to the processing factories, also in frozen potatoes. We have a big market for producing frozen potatoes. If we can, by delivering the size and the quality of these potatoes and the amount that is coming to the factory, if it just makes 0.5% efficiency gain for such a big smart factories, we make it in euro values, it's an enormous amount of money that you can save. Our retailers, our processing companies, for instance, these potato guys, they want not to work with average data from a Swiss database, although I don't want to say anything about the quality of Swiss databases, but these are averages. And our farmers and our producers, maybe yours also, are convinced that the real data is better than the average. So they want to use their competitive advantage by using data from real farms to show that they are doing better than average. So if we can bring these data all the way to the retailer, then the retailer can show on his apps not average data about the product, but based on real data. And we even have a case where we send back information from the consumer to the farmer on, for instance, his impressions on animal welfare. So the farmer gets feedback over the data line from consumers on animal welfare, something that we do in the Wish project, for instance. Look, this is the link with the consumers. And then a very important one for me, government. If we are sharing our data, government can switch finally to data-driven policy making. I mean, not making policy on average again, but on what farmers are really doing, because we have something in our country that we call calendar farming. Do you know it? It means that the farmer gets a date when he is allowed to do something. Before a certain date, he can fertilize. After a certain date, he can harvest. I mean, in the end, you're not a businessman anymore. It's the calendar who decides what to do. So why not switch based on data to a data-driven system where you say to the farmer, I'm not going to tell you when you need to do something. I'm just going to give you the target and make sure that data-driven, you show me that your soil is healthy. And if in the end your soil is healthy, you can do the management like you want. So in many cases, farmers see data as something that will give them less possibility, but it can give them freedom to take their own management decision and to show with the data, I have done a good thing, because so many farmers are doing good things and are missing the data to show to the rest of the society how well they are doing and what efforts they have been doing. And this can be done with data. And then at the end, I said I turned over to the dark side, but there is always a little bit of white that stays in me, of course. I was a researcher, and I think many researchers would like to have access to all this data in an anonymized way to speed up our developments, to speed up AI. I mean, no AI without any good data. So maybe you were already convinced, but this as a start point. And then if you would ask, what are we missing to go faster on this? Access to qualitative data, security and trust, very well made clear by Kieran before me, interoperability, and then by the question of one of the audience, the scalability, and also very important, a clear governance, because if you bring all the data systems together and you connect them, who is going to have the lead of this? And forgive me, but here we are very strong at the side that we think that farmers should have the lead there, because the data originates from the farmer and many of the data is owned by farmers although I know that you cannot use the word ownership, but let's say the farmer should be in control. I'm not going to go into the European strategy for data, but if you compare what we need here, those 4 points, with the strategy of data from the Commission, then it is very much aligned. And actually, whether you like it or not, they gave us these 5 building blocks that are very nice to put these things that we want into reality, because, for instance, the Data Act gives a lot of powers to the farmers. Okay, I think it's a nice story up till now, but where are we really? I think in Flanders also and in some other countries we made great advances in this data sharing. But if you ask me where are we now, I have to admit that we are a little bit lost. And I stole it from a very good colleague of me at Wageningen, Jacques Wolfert. He calls it the twilight zone. And he has a nice way of explaining it, because this is his work. And he says, look, we moved in 2 directions, from standalone applications to systems of systems, if you look at the IT integration level, but we also moved from process operators to a whole business ecosystem using our applications. And in the beginning, it was easy. We started with an app for a farmer to decide on fertilizer spreading, for instance, how much should I spread? But then we started offering them farm management information systems. These farm management information systems got integrated in chain information systems. For instance, in the pork industry, you already see that there are systems that go all the way to the retailer, over data platforms, and all the way in what we now call, with the fancy word, data spaces. And that is where everybody gets a little bit lost, because our farmer is still trying to understand how an app works, and I'm now talking to him and the small businesses around them about data spaces, and they get lost between words as APIs, connectors, and all these kind of fancy things. And the pity with this is that this is our way to artificial intelligence, because without all this data, no artificial intelligence. And what is happening here, and that frustrates me enormously, Europe is so good in creating data, but scattered data. In all these European projects, in all these things we do, we create data. And I have the impression that there is something what we call data colonization. It's a little bit taken from the idea from the early colonization. We create the data, somebody else takes our data, makes a nice product with it, and sells it back to us. So we're paying for AI application built on our own data. How stupid can you be? We need to take this data into control, and we need to keep it in Europe, build something ourselves with it, and sell it to the others. And I think this is a very important one. And for the moment, we are lost in this twilight zone, and our data is flowing everywhere, and we have no idea. I have a more simple way to say the same. Actually, we started by making our farmers very happy, also at ILVO, when we gave them the first apps and these things. And then we told them, okay, and also an app for your auditing system, and also an app for reporting to the government, and an app for this, an app. And at the end, he was overwhelmed by apps, and he doesn't know what to fill in anymore. And now, if you talk to a farmer, and again, Kieran made the way for me on Sunday afternoon, he's filling in several applications, some on the internet, some on his phone, typing from a PDF invoice into the other one, and then typing it again 3-4 times using the same information. And that is something that we want to escape from. And I think, how are we going to get out of this twilight zone and make all this data available for digital twins or for applications that the farmer uses? And of course, I mean, it's predictable. I believe that the common European data spaces can be a helpful tool there, and there are 9 data spaces. But forgive me again, there's only one data space that is really important, of course. I mean, only the one of agriculture counts, and all the rest comes second. So all jokes aside, the one of agriculture is very important, and if I'm really honest, I think it should have been called the Agri-Food data space and not the agricultural data space, because the data doesn't stop at the farm gate, and the quality is made at the end of the chain. So the data goes up the chain all the way to the consumer. The value should go back. So I still don't understand why the Commission does not want to call it the Agri-Food data space, but, well, I do understand why, because it's a separate sector, of course, but I think it would be good if in the future at least we make very clear, and we are doing this food is connected with it. All right. So just to make clear that I'm not trying to say that the data space is a digital twin. It just will deliver the fuel for the data twin, the digital twins that you are building. It will make the scalability for the twins, because if the digital twin of the pig is built in Spain, it should also be able to use the data in the data space in Flanders. So you can export it, you can scale it from Spain to Flanders. I already said that we have 9 different ones and that we will already try to connect them, but let's first try to build the one in agriculture and then see how we talk to the rest of it. Although you could argue energy, transport, it should be directly connected to some of the things that we're doing in agriculture. I will not go into detail what is a data space, because if you ask 11 people what is a data space, you will get 12 different answers. But there are 2 serious components. It's a data ecosystem, mostly related to a sector or an application, and you need it to have it decentralized, which simply means that the data sets are under control of the data owner, that we are not building one big pile of data, but that we give the possibility through connectors to other types of technologies for the data owner or the one who controls the data to decide who has access and who does not access on it. The good news is that we already spent 1.5 years on talking how will we build a data space. So there was already a project, CSA, where we made the blueprint, so the plan for the house is ready. We have a legal and ethical framework, we have a multi-stakeholder governance, we have technology agnostic approach, so whatever technology, whether you're Gaia X, IDSA, you should be able to join the data space, and we have a sustainable business model, or let's be honest, we have some ideas about the sustainable business model, because all those who have a very clear sustainable business model for data sharing can now raise their hand and say, I'm getting rich of a sustainable business model for data sharing. Who? Not so much yet, I know. So you could challenge me and say, so you just made a project? Yes, maybe we just made a project, but we made a mapping of already 450 small data space sharing initiatives from small players, sometimes just 50 farmers sharing data with USB sticks from very mature platforms already like ours and Join Data in the Netherlands and some French platforms. So we all map them. And what we are actually will do is bring these together and make them work together in one data space. You could still tell me, look, you just have a mapping, you have a nice presentation about it, but does anybody already is at least trying to earn some money with a data space? And yes, we are. In Flanders, we have Just Connect, just like the AGNAF. It's a little bit different. Ours, I think, it's less focused on one application. It's really a data sharing platform. You can go to it. It's online. We have daily farmers are using it daily. We have a help desk. It's fully operational. It's in the market. You can go to it and have a look how it works. You can go to our Connect shop and see the data sources that we offer. Why did we make it? Or what pain does it solve? If today you are a smart startup and you think you have something with, of course, AI. If today it's not AI, it seems to be worthless. So everything has to be AI. If you look at it nowadays, but let's say that you have a smart AI algorithm to help a farmer deciding on how he should feed his cows in the most sustainable way, being sustainable, economic as well as environmental. You should have to talk to at least 10 players who have data on this. His fertilizer company, his vet, his dairy company, his quality control managers. So at least you have to go out to a lot of players who have the data, because very important is most of the data is not on the computer of the farmer. It's in the business that work with the farmer. So it's a B2B operation. So this new app developer, he needs to go to 10 companies to get an agreement on the data. He needs to get also consent of the farmer to use this data, and he probably needs to come with some reward for the farmer to give consent on using the data. If you have to do this on your own as a company, you have to do a lot of work, and also you're not sure if one of these players changes his IT system, your app will not work anymore. So what we have tried to do is to create, to find a solution for what we call the data spaghetti, where you have a lot of connections to something very simple, to a circular system, where in the middle you have a data platform using connectors and an API management to say to the data users and the data providers a kind of circular highway. So the guy with his new application can just plug into the data hub, and we have the connection with his veterinary, with his feeding company, with the fertilizer. These companies are connected, and you can just let the data flow. So just to make it one more time very clear, if you are the pink one and you want data for your application, you ask, for instance, to the dairy companies, please, I want information about the milk components of 500 Flemish farmers. They will say, yes, we have it, but there is one problem. You need to have the consent of the farmer. Well, there is no problem, because our platform will ask the 500 farmers, fully digital, on their dashboard, do you agree or not? And this business is asking for this data. They will give you something in return, mostly not money, but for instance, better advice, first version for free in the first years, things like that. So they need to make a deal. And when the farmers say yes, the data can flow to the company. That's how it works. Did we create some impact with this? Yes, because there again, I'm on the same line with the previous talker. What is the biggest challenge that the farmer has nowadays? Well, he gave it away. It's paperwork. So in the beginning, we had issues convincing farmers why they should share their data. And I can tell you, they will not share it if you say, I have a fantastic data space, please give me your data. Doesn't work. Even if you say, I have fantastic AI, please give me your data. Doesn't work. If you tell them, I will make sure that on Sunday afternoon you can go with your kids and your wife somewhere nice instead of doing the paperwork, then they might say, okay, let's talk. So what we did is we convinced them that more data sharing is less administration, and we convinced them by showing it. We showed them that if you bring parcel information, farm identification, for instance, and soil mapping, soil analysis together, you can easily fill in the Flemish soil passport, and this soil passport on the one hand gets information about the Flemish soils, on the other hand gives advice to farmers to work better with their soil and rewards them if they do. So that is a step up. And then we show that with the same data, we can also give them 80% less follow-up in their auditing system. And we show them that their climate scan in Flanders, which is also obligatory to deliver milk to some companies, can go much quicker, and that if they have a farm management information system, also there they will show time. They will win time. So that's how we started. And then we started explaining that this data that we have available, can we also use it to deploy AI applications? And with these AI applications, we will return you better insight, and we will further make your business stronger. But that's only in a second step where we start talking about more professional farming. We have 3,000 farmers connected to Just Connect. That is 20% of the Flemish market of farmers at the moment, and we are 100% convinced to get them all connected. Are we alone? And I should add Agnaf to it, but here you see already some large players. By now there's also in Spain a data space that is operational, and I think 1 or 2 are also missing, but just to give you the idea that there are around 8, 10 main players that are already very active, and that we are already bilaterally working together. And that brings me actually to the project. What this project will do, to simplify it a little bit, the data space, is bring these grassroots initiatives together and help them scale to a European data space. So we're not there to replace what is already out there. We're there to connect what is already existing. And of course, we will have a combination between bottom-up and top-down. Bottom-up, we will deliver. I will not bother you with our very nice key objectives, but from the top of the project, we will deliver, of course, technical infrastructure, business model, governance models, if they want to use it, and we will think about how to keep it sustainable for the long run. But mainly, we will work in Work Package 1, where we will help our use cases, and these are mainly the ones, or there the platforms are involved that I just showed, to work together and to step by step start working on a European scale. I will not bother you with all our use cases. I've put them in just so you can see that these are the 8 use cases we will start from. And that's just one last thing that I want to say about that. Why I think we are successful in Flanders, and also the Irish example, is that because we didn't start from the technology, we started from the business case, and we first brought players together to make them sure that sharing their data is a win-win. So you need to bring the farmers, for instance, and the slaughterhouses and the feeding companies together on the table, and they need to see if we put our data together, we can all win something. It takes a tremendous way of time to talk with the people and to make them this insight. It will not work again by saying that you have a data space. They have to see the business value. And then you have to be sure that none of them gets a lack of trust and steps out of the idea. And if they're all convinced that they are going to win money if they share data, even if they would do it with sticks or old-style Excel, Then at the end you say, by the way, a data space is the most trustworthy, the best solution, and the cheapest solution for you. And then they step into data spaces. That's how it should work. For those who are not part of the project at the moment, we are a very open project. We need to connect the whole European system, and we will also come with open calls, first to connect with the countries that are missing, but in the end, it's our idea to be a very inclusive data space, of course. Everybody can join, and you can reach out to us if you would be interested to work with us. Finally, some publicity for the next Synergy Days, where we are also part of the organization. And I think some of you would probably already have followed the Synergy Days, but you're more than welcome in Amsterdam at the end of the year. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Jürgen. Seat. Yep. Now let's deep dive into how these technologies can be scaled and be replicated across sector. We will be moving to a roundtable discussion, a short one, given we have lost a lot of time in presentation. And I would like to invite the panelists. First, Jürgen Vangeyte, who we already introduced. And then next is Malamati Luther, a member of BBTWINS External Advisory Board, professor and director at the Telecommunication Network and Advanced Service Laboratory of the University of Western Macedonia. Her research team leads multiple projects in agri-food industry, enabling smart services and informed decision-making. The next panelist, we also honored to have Herman Boerer, if I pronounced it right, a member of BBTWINS External Advisory Board, and former CEO and president of BMW plant San Luis Potosi in Mexico. With 4 decades of long career in automotive industry, he has a deep expertise in production, logistics, quality, and project management. And last but not the least, Athanasios Lampropoulos, a mechanical engineer specializing in bioeconomy, clean technology, and hydrogen, holding 2 master's degree and a PhD in mechanical engineering. He's now a senior project manager for the EU-funded project at CluBE. We heard a lot about data and what we can do to scale up digital technologies. I think the first question I have to all the panelists is, what are the key enablers and bottleneck in scaling up these technologies for you, in your sector, in your experience? If you can start with Jürgen.
So the question is, what are the key needs to scale up the data?
Key enabler and the bottlenecks.
Okay. I think the biggest bottleneck at this moment is that we are still struggling to convince the added value for some of the data, for some of the cases in data, and there we still have quite some work to do to find those real business cases where when you put the data together, everybody can have a win, and if the win is clear, how to make sure that everybody gets a fair part of that win. Because the frustration you have a little bit in farming is that our farmers have the feeling, yeah, we buy the smart machine, we buy the technology, we deliver the data, and then at the end, we're putting the data in the chain, and the processing industry is making some gains, and retailer can do something about sustainability, but how is it coming back to us? And especially because in the beginning with stories like data is the new gold and data is the new oil and all these kind of things, they started creating an idea that with this data also the farmers would earn a lot of more money. But I think that's a little bit an exaggerated idea, and they will have to get the value in other ways from better business managers and these kind of things. That's one thing. So an honest distribution and a win-win. And a second thing that I find more difficult to state is that we need, if I talk for the farmers, a professionalization. I mean, you cannot share data if you have not a professionally organized company. And that means that we talk a lot about the small family farmer, but ask yourself the question, is the small family farmer still the model to scale these kind of things? Well, you actually would need maybe a data officer or somebody who is specialized in the environmental rules. So more and more, we try to convince farmers that they need to work together, that they need to go to models that look more like a business, like an SME, where maybe one farmer is a specialist in the digital solution, the other one takes another task, they hire a professional data officer, and maybe they can even have some benefits again, because if you're working together with 5 farmers, one can take the responsibility in the weekend, and you only need to do 1 week a month. So there's some professionalization, cooperatives, new business models of working together could, I think, really help. So it's for sure not the technology.
There are many smart applications in the agri-food sector developed in a local scale, and all these are not generalizable or transferable, or they could not easily be adapted in different settings, in different regions. And the question is why? For many reasons. For example, there are many difficulties in modifying the code, or perhaps there are IPR that could not be intervened, or complexities reasons, or the functionalities of the systems are improper. And here is the potential of the BBTWINS. It could serve as a general, universal, unified platform that could offer different solutions that could be adaptable and reusable to different settings and different contexts. In order to be successful to this, it is necessitated to go to the supply, to the demand side, and not to the supply side. We should hear what the end users need in order to provide the solutions to them, in order to be able to persuade that there is a value in what we propose to them. Interoperability, data spaces, is very important in order to have a common standardized representation of the knowledge that is acquired and then reused in different settings. Data is the key issue. Data completeness, data quality, data timeliness, data accuracy. It's very important to have high quality recommendations and not endanger the quality of the whole system. Not just only data quality, we should also have robust systems and robust tools in order to be generalizable in different settings. For example, a mechanism that could predict crop production could not have the same accurate result in different settings. So we should build robust systems in these regards. But the key in all this is to have the human at the center. Humans are not just the consumers of the data, but they are also prosumers, because, as Jürgen said earlier, farmers could send their valuable data in order to be actually generate knowledge and reshare this knowledge to different end users. So it's very important to have users not only providing data, but be a part of, during the implementation of the system and the validation of the different mechanisms that could fit the systems. The humans should understand that they are part of this ecosystem in order to accept the recommendations that will be provided. They should understand which is the data, how it is processed, how it is used, and how a recommendation is provided based on this data. If they cannot see how this process is made, it will be a black box, and they will not accept to use this black box. Thank you.
Yeah, it's anyway a complicated question, yeah? Because nowadays you can have millions of data. And I think what we all need is a hierarchy. What is necessary to fulfill your business, what is necessary from the government perspective, what is necessary from the quality perspective, and what is necessary to improve your own processes, that you can always have a development to be better and better every day. I said always, as I was working for Rolls-Royce, I confused the people because I said, you know, today we are better than yesterday, and tomorrow we will be better than today. Yeah? And if this is helping you, the IT systems, to improve all day long your processes, you need people that understand exactly the processes and do a visualization and a digitalization then. Yeah? But it should always help. Yeah? And this is for me a hierarchy, a database hierarchy. Yeah?
Data, a big question, a big, let's say, obstacle for us because, as I mentioned in my presentation, we were the connecting point between the technical experts, between, let's say, the different functionalities and the real world. And especially Dimitra Cooperative, since we had the opportunity to have, let's say, in-person meetings in order to ask data. Every time that we went to the cooperative from CluBE, me, my colleague Panagiotis, Dionysis, Yannis, and tell them, look, for example, ISRA asked for some data in order, let's say, to track the overall process, to track the final products, and so on. Every time they ask, and why do you need this data? They have names of the farmer, they have dimensions of the crops, they have quantities. Why do you need this data? So again, I have to highlight that we have to build this, let's say, trustworthiness in order to have, let's say, the necessary data, the data that we only need in order to proceed. Because if we go and ask again for data, give me this, give me something else, we have to be very precise to ask. Security is another thing, security of data. I'm not the expert one to discuss on this. But I think because you have to do with people, you have to do with professionals, with people that they work, they struggle with the daily routine. They cannot stop the operation of the cooperative or the process to give us data. They have external companies that operate their data for their, let's say, daily operations, the orders, let's say, the tracking of the boxes, of the pallets, and so on. So we need very careful on what and at which time we need that type of data.
I will just follow up on it, and probably it's again a packed question, and it's again about data. It seems data harmonization is the key, but also how we collect data and how we make it incentivize for people who own the data. So what do you think is a path forward? First is data harmonization, because it's not just about agri-food sector. If you're collecting data, the idea is it should be used in other sectors too. So what the path forward would be for such a harmonization, and like Jürgen mentioned, it's data is coming from everywhere. It could be small farmers, it could be individual residential buildings. What could be a path forward for data collection mechanism that you built that could help in collecting data in a harmonized way?
I really liked actually the remark about the hierarchy, because it would mean what do you really need and what do you don't need. But coming back to what you said, asking for data, actually we're a little bit wrong already there. Because if you need to ask for it, it means that the customer does not see the value or he should show it to you. And actually, that's not the right word. We're not asking for data. Yes, then while paying in farming, I don't really think, but there should be a value for it. For instance, the process will go faster. So about the harmonization, it's also a little bit a top-down approach. We, or at least some of the researchers and some of the people who are willing to use the data, want the harmonization. And I agree it should be there. But once you have the actors together who want to share data and they see that the harmonization is blocking the business value, there's no problem. It will be harmonized in no time. So if you need to push harmonization, you need to ask yourself the question, is there a business value after the harmonization? And that's really something that we need to change the mindset. I mean, for our platform, we started mostly with already being happy if the people wanted to share data, because some from the research side, they talk, yeah, but Jürgen, you need to push them standards, they need to follow rules, they need to do. In the beginning, we were happy if they, in whatever way, wanted to share data and start the system. And then afterwards, if you can tell them, look, if now you would do it in a standardized way, we can bring you so much more value. Ah, yeah, okay, you talk with them and say, okay, we see it. It will cost us 5,000 euros IT work in our business to deliver this to you, but we see the return on investment. And if they say, look, 5,000 euro IT work, harmonization, we don't see it, then harmonization is not necessary. And I think if we want to make forwards in this data story, we need each time to go back to what is the value that we will deliver and why do we want this harmonization? Because there's so much pushed upon people and they don't see the value. I asked, how many people do you know that are, except the really big players, that are earning money by data sharing? I didn't have time, and I went already over time in my slides, but the big French platform, Data Hub, went bankrupt. The reason that we survive as Just Connect is because ILVO is in the middle, and that we use innovation projects and also governmental support to survive. And the link that I make is I think data is a utility product. When we started with electricity and the water, in the electricity that we put it and the water tubes that we put it, who paid for all these utilities? It was the state who started with it and put it all there. And then when it's making some profit, now we have electricity companies and they're taking over. But I think there is no other way than to also engage state. In Belgium, it calls the data utility company. We have a data utility company that is actually state-owned or pushed by the state, that is actually making the data lines, the data wires, the data sharing platforms. And later on, when it's stable, it could be taking over. But now I think we have to be honest, and I try to look at it from a business side, we need state support on those things, because our platform is many years already in the air, and we're still not making profit. And there are only two actors, in my opinion, who can continue to put a platform economy. Let's say that you need to make 5 years, you need to go in minus, or maybe 10 years, because the trick in a platform economy is to gather a lot of users, don't make profit in the beginning, connect them all by offering some things for free, and then when everybody is on your platform, you scale up your services and you ask them a small amount. That's how it works in all these big platforms. In the beginning, it's for free. They challenge you to join, and then you see some services, and after some time, when everybody is there and there's no competitor anymore, they will ask you, yeah, but for this or this, you can pay some extra because then you will get this or this faster. My point is, there are, in my opinion, only two actors who can do this. It's whether smaller players supported by a government that can keep it for many years, or very big players. Very big transnational companies like the Googles of today can do it. But if you want small players in a decentralized systems to survive, I think we need some thinking about state support there, at least in the beginning. But I took you away from your question on harmonization. But
in a way, it did cover, like the pathway is either there is a big player, either the state or a large corporation that funds the initial infrastructure, like it has happened with utilities in the past.
I couldn't agree more. Data should be fair, findable, accessible, reusable in order to be reused and have a meaning in order to build smart applications. The way that data are handled, processed, managed is very important. And, of course, data should be structured in a way that all involved stakeholders and entities have a shared understanding of the data space. So data harmonization is a very difficult question. There are standards that could be followed, and of course there is ongoing work on the standardization process. For example, NGSA within data could be adopted as a way to integrate the plethora of different heterogeneous data, but we cannot expect that the end users provide data in such a way. So an intermediary, or perhaps a big company, could undertake this task to integrate the different data that we'll collect from the different users. The question is how we are going to convince that users to provide the data in a trustworthy manner, to know that the data is actually of high quality, and then users to be certain that the data that they provided are safe and that there is some value to get from the data that they have shared.
What should I say? You know, I'm staying to the same what I said before. You know, you should have a hierarchy, what is necessary to fulfill, for example, the quality management, yeah, that the customer can be trust what you deliver, that this is fine. Yeah? And there is really just a hierarchy, and then you have to look for your own process, what you think you can improve, and you can learn from a standard what the other ones are anyway using, that you not always have to find a new way, develop new IT systems, and this is a lot of things what you have to do then, update and all the stuff what is behind them. Yeah, data's, it's important, but everybody have to be carefully, because nowadays it is possible to have lots of data, and someone would always say, it's good for me, I like it. Huh? But the question is it really helpful for your own business? Huh?
I think that your question was answered in detail by the other experts, so I will try to give a different perspective. I think we should, from now on, we should discuss about the legacy that BBTWINS bring, for instance, to our region of Western Macedonia. We involved a very specific cooperative dealing with peaches in the fruit sector. So we have now to communicate all these results to our regional authorities, to the government, to the state, in order to see how this can be expanded. Because as all of us mentioned, you need regulations, you need safety standards to how to manage the data and so on. But first of all, we have to communicate this experience, because it was the first one, the first company that tried to digitalize in such a way. So I think that our main goal is initially communicate all these results to all the relevant stakeholders. Fortunately, our, let's say, cluster involves all the regional stakeholders and not only them. So I think that this is the best way to continue what we achieved in BBTWINS in order not to be, let's say, something like a farewell. We have to continue this, to struggle, and to see how this can work in a more broad, in a more scalable way.
Thank you. It's been an insightful discussion, but I believe everybody is hungry. So I will not hold you any longer here. But before we wrap up, I'd like to thank you, our esteemed panelists, for sharing their expertise. A big thank you to all the audience in the room and also people who joined online. And I would also like to thank the member of Excellent Advisory Board, the speakers and our reviewers. Thank you. And I would like to invite you for lunch, and we can continue the discussion there. And one last thing, for people in the room, if you would like to join us for a group photograph, please join us in front of the podium so we can take a group photograph. Thank you, and thank you.